Okay. Well, as I understand it, Coach, you had a great corporate job, a great lifestyle, and you packed up the family with 6 kids, is it?
That's correct.
And kind of like I picture the Beverly Hillbillies, except a little bit more corporate. Hopefully you didn't put your wife on the very top of the car there.
That's a very great visual. Corporate Beverly Hills. That works.
And off to, of all places, Ohio.
Right.
And also, I want to explore why you picked Franciscan. I understand the quality of the Catholic environment there, but
well, let me go back to let me go back to leaving where we were. So the background is I've been coaching since I was in high school at summer camps, and I've been coaching youth lacrosse for the last 10 years. I coached a couple of years of varsity basketball at a Catholic high school where my son went. So the coaching aspect, while to the outside world was caught people off guard and say, "What are you doing?" My wife can attest that's always been a passion and something I have been gifted to do. Beth worked with me as my assistant because I had gone, and that was just divine intervention. I had gone to an assistant or two, moved to an office. My wife became my assistant, and I would face her. So when my office door was open, I would face her cubicle area just outside my office, and she would just give me the eye every once in a while, and basically say, "You can't keep doing this because you're not happy." And when you're trying to provide for a family and have to what the outside world would look at as a successful, nice, comfortable life and career, my wife knew that I was not happy, and I certainly wasn't given the gifts that God has given me to what He wanted me to do and to the fullest. I wasn't really using my gifts at all. So she said, "Hey, we got to start praying a rosary." 54-day rosary novena. So 27 days of petition, 27 of Thanksgiving. And I recall sitting down with Beth and saying, "What should we pray for?" And we thought about this, and we don't want money, and not that we didn't want money, but we said we need the wisdom to make the next step for our family and to do the right thing with my gifts and as a family, do the right thing for the family. 21 days into that, my son, who's a freshman at Franciscan, in the background further on why Franciscan, we have a daughter was a senior in 2012. We had a daughter who was a freshman that year, and a daughter was a sophomore, excuse me. So a senior, sophomore, and a freshman son. So that's how we knew this school. We knew the school as parents. We saw what I would call the product that this university is putting out on the back end of 4 years of education. And we were amazed and humbled by friends of ours who sent their children here, by friends of our children and our own children, to see the beautiful transformation into children of Christ, as I would say. So my son called me and said, "Dad, they posted the job for the men's lacrosse coach. It's still not filled." And my wife and I didn't think once in a million years that we should apply, because I'm not a college coach. I wasn't coaching high school. They probably, the athletic director, I'm sure, would have a friend or two that would have the inside edge. I said, "That's ridiculous." So we pulled up the job posting. We looked at each other, and Beth can fill you in on the details of this. We're sitting on our couch, and I said to her, "Beth, I can do this." She said, "I know you can." I said, "Okay, well, we have to decide right now, this moment," and this is in January of 2012. We have to decide this moment that if we apply, then we say yes, we pack it in, and we move to Ohio. And she, on the spot, said, "Yeah, absolutely."
Well,
so that's a shortened version of that, of what happened.
Right. But when the Clampetts got to Beverly Hills with Granny on top of the car there, they had that oil money and the mansion and all that to go to. So when you got to Franciscan and your wife was strapped to the top of the car there, what was waiting for you besides a lacrosse job?
Nothing.
You don't know.
Beth, do you want to tell them that's part of the story? About the two properties we had to sell and...
Yeah, we owned a couple properties. We were from New York.
Primary residence and a rental.
Yeah, we had a rental and some land down North Carolina. We had some a house up in Cape Cod, and we had just sold that recently. And we said, well, we've got an awful lot to shift. Now, we were in a neighborhood that was a higher-end neighborhood, and houses were just really not moving, and if they did, they were foreclosed upon or sold for rock bottom. So we thought, okay, let's just put the house on the market and let's just see what happens. Let's just do that. We've got the application out, and let's just see. Well, a realtor, we got a realtor in, and I think within 60 days, our house we were out. The house sold, the rental sold, everything sold. And then the day we closed on our house in New York, our land in North Carolina closed. So that we had been trying to sell for probably 4 years or so at least, and it all happened really fast. So we're thinking, okay, this is probably a good sign, but let's have a priest friend of ours. We were really good friends with a priest, and we said, let's just have him up just to make sure we're still doing what we're supposed to be doing. And, we asked him, how do we know if we're just chasing this crazy desire of, yeah, Pete's going to be a, great lacrosse coach, or, is this a prudent decision for our family, or how do we know that this is really God's will? And he said, as long as doors keep opening, and of course, if you do it through prayer, you keep going. So not only were doors opening, they were pushing us through at the same time, because things just started falling in place that would have never, in a normal situation, have happened. And then we ended up coming out here. We could never find a house. We made a few trips out. We couldn't find a house. We were going to rent. There were no rentals, just for the size of our family. And we ended up going back home, moving very shortly, and still didn't really have a place to live. So out of the blue, a friend of my sister's out in Connecticut who knew from a lady some long trail, called me and said, I heard that you were moving to Steubenville. We have a rental. Well, we have a house out there that we're not moving to for quite a while, and I would love for you to rent it if you need a place to stay. Well, that just was a drop right from heaven, because I don't know where else that would have come from. So I said, let me think about it. Let me talk to Pete, and we called her right back and said, you know what? I think we're going to rent it. So that's how we started. We did have a house. Ever since we rented that, the house did become available, but it wasn't available to move into by the time we came out here. So we really did look like the hillbillies when we pulled out of the house. We had the big moving truck went. We had a couple cars. We had the trailer behind us full of, boogie boards and ski sets and everything you can imagine that came from the garage and the shed that wouldn't go in the truck. And we pulled out with that behind the van, and I thought, I don't even know what we look like. But I know we're going in the right direction. So we came out, and Pete had been out here for a month in the rental, and I pulled up, and I just remember being so full of joy and peace that I just burst out crying. And if you could see where we went compared to where we lived, you think I was crying because I was upset, but it was really tears of joy. So this is incredible. I just felt so full of God's presence. It was just incredible.
Well, not to beat up on the whole Clampa thing too much, but you kind of did with the reverse. You went from that fancy lifestyle, so to speak, to pretty much bare bones. And
I don't want you to print this part of it, but our house in Pauling was 4,500 square feet. We built and designed the house. We didn't build it with our hands, but we designed it, had it built, and it was in, what do they call those, Beth? What was that? Yeah, what do they call that?
Oh, homeowners development? I don't know.
No, what do they call it? An executive development. So it was on a cul-de-sac. It was nice. Our house now is 2,100 square feet, and it was unlivable when we bought it because a dog had urinated so much on the hardwood floors. We had to rip up the entire main floor of hardwood, the entire main floor. And it was only 2,200 square feet, but big enough. And we did that. So when you say the reverse, oh my goodness, yeah, it's reverse, yeah. But that house ended up being it's a really, really nice old house, literally a 30-second drive from the university. So yeah, it's reverse, and it was pretty shocking. We had to literally gut the kitchen, gut a bathroom, and what else? That
I
was
think
pretty
that's the whole
much.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The kids thought we lost our minds because they knew where we came. They could not understand why in the world Mom and Dad would move our entire family to this place. What's wrong with them? And of course, I was like, come on, kids, this is great. This house has potential. We can do it. There's so much out here. I think it took them months before they finally said, this feels like home now.
Okay. Pause. Stop. Are we going to edit that part with the 4500 part?
Yeah, I just don't want to. I just want to let you know, so when you are looking at this, you have a understanding of it. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That was just so you understood it.
I'll cut that and then I'll pick it up at the very end of art where she was laughing and do that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop. Go. So we have such a wide variety of people that are either reading this in the magazine or listening to it on the air. And what advice would you have for those of us that they hear God's calling, but they say, gosh, there's no way I'm giving up my lifestyle to go somewhere else or give up my valuable time to maybe coach a sixth grade softball team at St. Mary's? And no matter what the scale is, what advice would you give people to listen and follow through?
Well, 3 or 4 years prior to this whole thing, God's been trying to get my attention for a lot of years as I reflect back, and I ended up contracting Lyme disease. Had an IV in my arm. It was that bad that I had to give myself medicine, and I had a PICC line in my arm for 3 full months. It was a really, 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 really tough time for us. I was pretty much good for nothing. And you start doing a lot of reflection, and then you realize that you have to have quiet time, which Beth will tell you I'm not really good. I don't know as a coach that you really appreciate that quiet time. But I started realizing, hey, I need quiet time. I have to slow down. I have to reevaluate. And when Beth suggested that novena, I knew she was right. And I think as a man, maybe I'll say this first person. I have an ego where I accepted God, but it was on my terms, I would say. And he had to really humble me and say, hey, I'm in charge. I don't know how each person can come to that realization, but I would say that the sooner we do, the easier and more joyful our life will be. And that's just my experience. We are ecstatic here, being at Franciscan, working in this environment. Our record, our lacrosse record, is not one of envy of any coach, but I know we're building things. We're building a program, and when you are allowed and encouraged to talk to the young men who I coach, and Christ being the center of those conversations, it's beautiful. So you just have to have faith in God, true, solid faith. If you're married, you need to have a great spouse like I do, who really, I mean, if you don't have a spouse on the same page, another person would say, I'm not moving out of here. This is beautiful. We have a great life. What are you doing? And I had the support of Beth, and she has my support. So it's not easy, Bill. I'll tell you something. It is not easy, but as soon as you release and let go and let God, as they say, there's no pressure. It's like, there's relief. There's joy.
How do you feel? We as Catholics are pretty much light years behind our Protestant brothers and sisters in terms of using the power and the passion of sports to elevate one's spiritual life and connect with God. And it sounds like you have a great connection there. How do you feel about as we as a Catholic community can use sports to enhance our faith?
To me, it's almost the question is an odd one to me because I don't understand how you don't do that. We use a program. I'm going to back up here. We use a program called Sports Leader. Sports Leader is run by Lou Judd, and they have this content of material talking about virtues. We talk about virtue to our guys every single day, and not only myself as a men's lacrosse coach, but all of our sports here at Franciscan do this. We all incorporate some aspect of Sports Leader in teaching virtue to our players, men and women. The other day we lost Wednesday night. We had a tough loss, and I was not a happy camper yesterday, and I got an email at the very end of the day from a mom on campus here whose son played on the other team, and she just said to us, she said, "Hey, Coach, one of your players helped one of the opposing players up. He went over to him. He got knocked down pretty good. He got rocked, and our player went over to him and said, 'Hey, you're all right,' and extended a hand. Well, we were it was in an away game, and the opposing parent said, 'Wow, look at that player on the other team. He's coming to talk to our player and see if he's all right, and he's helping him up.' He said, 'You don't see that too often.' Why don't we see it that often? Yeah, I teach my guys, hey, you hit as hard as you can and you play as hard as you can. I don't want to hurt a guy, though. We want to love him, help him up. We should have the joy of sport. It's a joy of sport. It's not the work of sport. It's a joy of sport. And we can always, in everything we say and do on that field and when we practice, hey, we're playing within the rules. We're playing within the spirit of the rules. You play as hard as you can. But you got to play, I talk about St. Paul. You got to have St. Paul's zeal when you play. Jesus does not want lukewarm Catholics. You got to go on fire. You got to go hard. That whistle blows, boom, you got to be running. You got to be playing hard. There's a social contract once you step on that field. You got to go hard. And we talk about reflecting the light of Christ in all we do. The men's lacrosse team is a Christ-centered. That's what we talked about to the boys. Hey, be Christ-centered, be Christ-centered. So we could use this, every day we're on the field, we talk about that. Every single day, hey, do the right thing. Play hard, but do the right thing. You play it the right way. Anyone can play it the wrong way. Play it the right way. And people notice this, and that email from that mom, really touched us, and I'll share that with the guys today after this chat with you. We'll be practicing for the first time. We had yesterday off. We'll talk about that. Say, hey, guys, in everything we say and do, we reflect whether we are walking with Christ or not. And sometimes we all mess up. We all no one's perfect in that walk, but keep walking towards him. Sometimes we pause, and sometimes we make a right turn, which we had no business making a right turn. Get back on the path and walk towards Christ.
The league that you play in, is it mainly Catholic universities, or is it mixed with public and private?
Oh no, we play here in the Midwest. We play teams from Ohio, Michigan, and Western Pennsylvania. No, they're not Christian schools. We play a wide variety of schools,
Which increases the importance of your witness and your behavior.
Yeah, and we try to tell the guys, don't we want to witness just in what we do, but don't think they need witnessing too either. Maybe we need witnessing too. Maybe that team is better grounded than we are. So never look at this as they need witnessing. Just be close to Christ. Just we say a rosary before every bus ride on an away game. We say a rosary. We pray in the locker room before every game, and it centers the guys. But never think they need the opposing team needs to be witnessed to any more than we do. So we're cautious of that. Now at the same time, lacrosse is a tough sport, and I tell them, I say, hey guys, maybe some of those guys, maybe they haven't been to, maybe they don't know Christ. Just be careful out there. Don't expect them to play the way we do. Just keep your head up.
What's your most challenged aspect of coaching, particularly at a Catholic university?
It's okay to be number one. I think especially as Catholics, I think that sometimes we think it's okay to play but not compete. And Troy Polamalu, who's a defensive player for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was once asked about how he plays, and he plays with abandonment, and it's abandonment to the Lord. And I tell our guys that's how you have to play. You have to play the way St. Paul was defending his Jewish faith back in the day. So you have to have that zeal. So we specifically use that word. You have to have the zeal to play. You have to have the passion to play. And it is okay. So I think some Catholics, specifically Catholics, believe, well, it's okay to just play the game. No, you need to compete. And one of our virtues that we talk about is being magnanimous. You have to have magnanimity. And that means using the God's gift that he's given each one of you to play this game. And whatever you do, be magnanimous in whatever you do. We're called to be great in the classroom. We're called to be great in the courtroom. We're called to be great if we're cleaning up the dishes after dinner. You must be great. That's what God calls us to be, great in everything we do, not some of the things we do, in all aspects of our life. Sport is just one aspect of that. We'll be great at it. You know, some people cannot run. Some people do not have legs. Some people do not have the lung capacity to run. Some people don't have the hand-eye coordination. But the older you get, the more you realize that's a gift, and it's a short-lived gift. You're young. Use these talents you have now to glorify God. Our game, our men's lacrosse, is called the Creator's Game. That's the history of the game, is the Creator's Game developed by the Native American Indians. So you have to play it with zeal. You must play it with passion, deep passion. Not, hey, it's okay. No, with everything you've got. I tell our guys, if your head is held underwater, right, and you want that next breath, that's how you have to play the sport of lacrosse. That you got to play it with, you want that next breath of air, you got to play it with that passion. And when you do, it's beautiful.
Wow, very well said. And I think that applies to a wide range of sports and wide range of levels. So that's terrific, Coach. Beth, let me ask you, what's been the high point for you after coming out in the jalopy on the rocking chair up there?
Well, first and foremost, to see Pete as happy as he is. I've always known that he's had a talent that he wasn't using the right way, never thinking we'd be in Ohio, especially here. But now that I see him in this environment and we are certain that this is where God wants him, it is just an absolute perfect fit. And there's no other way to say it. When you follow God and you really follow God's will, that's the happiest you will be in. That you can't be happier if you truly walk in line with the Lord. And although we were happy, we were not unhappy in New York. We just felt almost like there was a void that we weren't fulfilled. We seemed to have everything in the secular. We were a little bit, something was missing. And I think that something was the Lord, and being in an environment that really fosters the way we, we felt and the way we believed and that we wanted to raise our family. So for me, being out here with all these wonderful Catholic families who, do more than just go to Mass on Sunday. If they, and back in New York, yes, some of them might go to Mass, but that was about the closest we get to Catholic friends. Out here, it's really a way of life. These families still fear God, whether they're Catholic or not. They still fear God, and they still really put God center in their lives, and there's a lot of opportunity for me as a woman and a wife and a mother to get out and meet many, many, many wonderful women who are just like myself in the same situation, and the support is wonderful. It just makes you realize you are doing the right thing. You are, you're raising saints for Christ, in our children, and it's not looked down upon, because I don't have this big, highfalutin career. What I do is very important and taken very serious out here, and so for me to have that kind of support and meet such good friends that are so much like me to be able to lift me up. This is as great for me as it is for Pete being out here.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, what a great adventure, and what a blessing not only to your players and the people you play against and the university, just overall package. And I want to thank you both for taking the time. I know you're very, very busy. Your plate's full to share this with us and let you know how much we, both at Ave Maria Radio and at Catholic Sports, really appreciate your efforts and your dedication. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Well,
Thank you, Bill.
Bill, it's a joy, and we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and just talk through it. It's been a great journey so far.
It sounds like it. Well, we'll be keeping you in our prayers. And folks, if you want to follow Franciscan University, you can go to their athletic site. You can go to CatholicSportsCenter.com, and there's a link there right to the athletic site for Franciscan, if that makes it easier for you. But again, thank you so much for taking the time, and God bless.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Stop.